Hi, if you're hearing my voice, you're now tuned in to the newest podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, and wherever you're hearing this from. My name is George Chintankwa Malipilo, and welcome to the Untitled Legal Attempt. Okay, enough of the music. Let us get into the podcast. So once again, welcome officially to the intro video. Oh my God. Welcome to the first episode of the podcast. Now, like I have mentioned, I'm George Chintankwa Malipilo. I am a law degree holder from Cavendish University, Zambia. 1 year, this year, my graduation. I always tell myself I act like I've been a lawyer. I act as if I've graduated for 4 years. I'm not yet a lawyer, but I will one day be. So, the essence of this podcast is what we'll be talking about in the intro. But before we move forward, just one last time, let's listen to this lovely jazz music. Okay, that's enough. Not everyone loves jazz music. Alright, so if you're hearing this voice, this is my first podcast. How am I doing so far? Am I doing okay? Yeah, I know I'm doing fine because you still have me in your ears. You can listen to me. So, alright. Having looked at a lot of Zambian judgments through my years as a legal learner, the one difficulty I always had was the fact that in this millennial society that we live, the 21st century, the internet has everything. Our cases have gone digital. That's wonderful. We used to struggle with that. I used to struggle with that. Now we have apps such as App 20 that give you Zambian cases at your fingertips. You also have Zamli and even Judiciary Zambia. So the Zambian system needs to be congratulated for that. Can we give them a round of applause? No, that wasn't enough. Can we give them another round of applause for that technological development? Okay. Thank you, Zambia. Thank you. Now, we've improved on that aspect, and it's wonderful. But the question that therefore comes next is the difficulty in finding case summarized in a small form, like Zambian legal cases, important landmark judgments summarized, voice-overed, and published online for the whole world to see how our judges arrived at a particular rationale or how particular cases changed the Zambian judicial landscape forever. Now, this idea has been long going for me. It's been an idea that I've always had and I've always wanted to do, but I just did not have the equipment because I always thought having a podcast is expensive. So I then decided, you know what? I have a friend. Her name is Marime. She also has a podcast, a very good podcast. I hope I get the name right, Marime. It's called Fearlessly Flawed. You should check it out. I'll send the link in the bio. But the whole idea was that why don't we have Zambian landmark judgments? And I mean not just from the Supreme Court, but even from the High Court. And it must be remembered that Zambia amended its constitution in 2016. I'm very sorry to say this is when we are having a constitutional court. And the Court of Appeal, yes, in 2016. Very sorry. But it is what it is. So these two courts have also come in. And they've also passed a mouth-watering landmark judgments that are already shaking the echoes of the judicial system. And there's also been a lot of drama. But hey, that's why we're here, to talk about those landmark judgments. I mean, as a Zambian, I should be proud of saying, look, our courts ruled in this way, and this means this no longer exists. I must be proud of that. Over the years, I have been a keen observer of American legal jurisprudence. I then decided to also start looking at their cases. A case popped up online. I heard it from a YouTube voiceover. It was simplified. As time went on, I started listening to those cases. Then I thought in my head, if a foreigner like me from far country that a lot of people don't know and cannot pronounce can listen to these podcasts and understand the central holding in Roe versus Wade, or Gore versus Bush, or I think it was the Attorney General versus Nixon, I'm not sure about that, the Clinton case for the impeachment, cases such as Planned Parenthood and Casey, I learned important aspects. I also watched On the Base of Sex, Ruth Ginsburg. That also motivated me recently to say, look, these are all about the American justice system, how it has improved. So what are we doing to also bring to light our important Zambian cases that have shaped our system forever? So I then decided to have a cheap legal podcast. Now, this is not the first episode. I did record one, I think 1 or 2. And the difference between this one and those ones is I was trying to capture everyone, the whole audience, trying to be funny. But after watching On the Basis of Sex, I told myself a legal podcast is a legal podcast because it's talking about legal matters. I can't start trying to joke around. And the podcast is focusing on Zambian landmark judgments. So I have to be explaining, so I will not be joking. So I have then decided to re-record this intro again. And I'm sorry, guys. Forgive me. Please, please, please. But I felt it was much better to have a sound podcast that will tell you this is it. I know a lot of people say the law is boring, but I think it's about interest. It's very important people know the law. Legal awareness is one thing that needs to be talked about over and over again. Because if you don't know the law, you're at risk of being lied to, misled, or even being arrested for something that you did know. Moreover, the criminal law, penal code, criminal law, the penal code says ignorance of the law is not a defense. Then the Constitution of Zambia, I can't remember the article, but I do remember it has asked us, the citizens, to know the contents of the Constitution. So it's very important you know the contents. And one way you can know the contents of the Constitution is through what? Case law. Can I get a round of applause, guys? Thank you, I see you. Thank you. So, with that being said, and the importance of case law drives home the aspect of cases and how they're decided, this cheap podcast will be doing just that. Now, the podcast will be, of course, me, and I will be talking to a few people on the case under discussion, and I want to get it from their perspective, what they think was the central holding for them, what was the central idea in the case. So I will be talking to people. They're not famous people. They are my former classmates. They are my juniors that I know well and I feel are good at articulating the law. And also, I will be talking a lot at the podcast. So, in the end, ladies and gentlemen, the Untitled Legal Attempt is basically a podcast celebrating Zambian landmark cases that have been rendered from the High Court to the Court of Appeal to the Constitutional Court. I just want the world to appreciate our judicial system and the cases that have come before our courts and how these cases have changed our system and how actually all these cases are similar. If you go to America, you have your own definition of what cases talk about the supremacy of the Constitution. We have that. In America or in Britain, you have Donahill versus Stevenson for negligence. We have Zambia Butlers versus Michael Sata. So you're now seeing that even in Zambia, we have rich legal history. And I also want law students that are going to England but are coming back to Zambia to know about these cases. All right, so that if they come back to Zambia, they could be able to shine. You know, I love the way you shine, girl. Shine, boy. Yes. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, without being said, I would like to say, welcome to the journey that you'll be taking with me on the Untitled Legal Attempt, where we are celebrating landmark Zambian judgments. So if you hear the tone, hear the tone,